You can't go to the islands without having jerk sauce, jerk marinade, or meat that's prepared in a jerk style. I've got the perfect jerk fish recipe for you. You can do it in your oven. It's simple, it's easy, and everyone will think you've gone to the islands for dinner. When you're walking down the beach in Jamaica and you smell this glorious aroma, you know you're by a jerk shack. I'm going to show you how to make jerk fish at home in your oven. That's so easy, you'll be making it all the time. Let me show you what we do to make the jerk fish. We're going to start by making our jerk sauce. And in our jerk sauce, it's like a marinade. I'm going to use my food processor. So let me show you what's in it. I'm going to start with some garlic. I've got about 4 big cloves of garlic. It's going to go in first. Next up, I've got to have some peppers in my jerk, and that is jalapeno. You can use habanero, but that's a little hot. So I've got 1 big jalapeno that I chopped up a little bit. Next up, I'm going to put in lime juice. So about the juice of 2 limes going right in. And I'm going to use lime zest. Remember, I used orange zest in the recipe right before this. I zested a lime, and that's going in there too. Now I've got some thyme. So there are 2 spices that are always used in jerk. One is thyme, and the second is allspice. And you may think that allspice is a combination of spices, but y'all, it's actually not. It is 1 berry, or 2 berries, or 3 berries from the allspice tree. The allspice tree grows all over the islands, but especially in Jamaica. And these berries are dried, and then that's what gives you ground allspice. So they grind the berries. And that wonderful aroma I talked about before from walking down the beach and finding a jerk shack, that wonderful aroma is actually the limbs from the allspice tree being burned, and the jerk is cooked on it. So I've got allspice. It's a must for jerk. Next up, I've got some Jamaican dark rum, just a tablespoon, and it's gonna cook, so you don't have to worry about I'm getting tipsy with the jerk. And now I have about 3 tablespoons of molasses, same kind of molasses we use in the South, and it's gonna add a little bit of sweetness to our jerk sauce. There we go. And that is ginger. So ginger is used all over the islands, and in jerk, it's necessary. And then I've got a white onion that I've chopped up, and it's going in. And last but not least, I'm going to use some of my green onions that I've got chopped here. I'm going to use about 1 cup. I'm going to save the rest for garnish on top of our jerk fish. All right, a sprinkle of salt and pepper, and we will be ready to process the jerk sauce. You want it to be a little bit chunky. I don't puree it. I leave some chunks in, and you're gonna see when we get the finished fish out that just adds a lot of flavor. So I have fish, a white fish. This white fish is whatever gets pulled out of the ocean in the islands. But today I'm using what I found at the regular old grocery store. So I'm using a little bit of cod, and I've cut it into fillets. You want to use a white fish though. You don't want to use anything like salmon or an oily fish. Now what I'm going to do is take my jerk sauce, and now I'm just going to put my jerk sauce right in on top of my fish. This jerk sauce or marinade has a lot of lime juice in it. So if you marinated this overnight, you would have cooked fish because that citrus would cook the fish. So you don't want to marinate it too long. When you go to those beach shacks, they literally pop the fish into the marinade or sauce, maybe 10 minutes while they prepare maybe a salad or a side like we are today. So this is going to sit on my counter while I prepare our sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes grown all over the islands, especially in Grenada. I'm going to start with my sweet potato. And actually my sweet potato is going to go on a bed of just freshly chopped raw spinach. So you need 2 small sweet potatoes or 1 big sweet potato like this. This sweet potato is very nice. It's got a smooth skin. I've already washed it. And if possible, you want to keep your sweet potato on its skin like this because the skin is nutritious. So all I'm going to do after I've washed the sweet potato is go ahead and cut it just like this. And I'm going to put it on a parchment lined sheet tray. And I want to try to keep all of my slices about the same size. Woo, as it gets bigger, it's harder to cut. And you can see I'm holding my knife with my hand open here so that I don't get my fingers. And I think I'll just set the ends aside. So here is my parchment lined tray for my sweet potatoes. I'm going to spray it off with a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm going to put my sweet potatoes right on the parchment. Here we go. I'm going to spray it with a little bit more olive oil. If you don't have an olive oil sprayer, although you can get them at the grocery store, you can just put your potatoes in a bag and shake them up with a little bit of oil, or you could use a basting brush and kind of paint them with some oil. Next up is a little salt and pepper. So a little salt and pepper, and I ground some pepper a little bit earlier so that I could just sprinkle it on here. So here is my pepper. Oh my gosh, so pretty with the orange and the peppercorns on top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the raw potatoes and put them in a 400-degree oven. It'll take about 30 minutes to cook and get soft. So raw potatoes in the oven. And luckily, I have a batch of potatoes that I made earlier. So look at those beautiful potatoes. So now they're soft, and I can tell that just by putting my knife right in there. And on this bed of spinach, I'm gonna go ahead and slide a layer of potatoes right over on top of the spinach. And that's gonna add some more flavor to my jerk and some more authentic flavor. So here we go. And you see that because I cut them all the same size, they cooked at the same time. So that's one thing you always want to remember when you're roasting something in the oven or you're cooking even on the stovetop, you want to make sure that your food is all the same size so it'll cook evenly. So one more, let's see if I can fit this one in. There we go. Now I can put my fish in the oven. It's sat for at least 10 minutes, no more than 30. And again, you don't want to leave it too long because it's going to actually cook the fish, that citrus juice. And when I open this bag, it's going to smell like Jamaica to me. I know it will. It does. All right, so now I have my sheet tray and I'm going to take my fish out of the marinade. I think I'll spray just a little bit of olive oil down here. And now I'm going to put my fish on the sheet tray. And this is a little more than a pound of fish, but this jerk will take up to 3 or 4 pounds. This jerk marinade will take up to 3 or 4 pounds of fish because you're going to see we're going to have some left over. Now you could do the same recipe with the fish and put your fish on the grill, but I wanted to do it inside because not everybody has a grill, and it's super easy to roast it in the oven. So see, you're gonna have this much marinade left over, so this sauce can be put back in the fridge and used for fish again tomorrow. I wouldn't keep it any longer than that, and you can't use this just raw like this as a sauce for anything because it hasn't been cooked and it's had raw fish in it. So we're just gonna set it aside. And now, look at this fish. Oh, yay, it smells so good. It's ready for the oven. And so I'm gonna take it over to the oven. I'm putting it in a 400-degree oven. Y'all, this is the easiest way to cook fish, is to roast it in the oven. It'll take somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes to cook all the way through. What you wanna look for is fish that is opaque and flakes easily. So this is gonna go in for about 7 minutes. I'll check it. It doesn't need to even be flipped over or anything like that. And after 7 minutes, if it's done, I'll take it out. 10 minutes is probably the tops. And then I will take it out and I'm gonna start building our beautiful dish of sweet potato, spinach, and fish. So into the oven, 400 degrees. And let me grab my pot holder and look at this. I got one that I put in before we started today. Yay! Okay, so there is my fish, and this is got lots of juice with it, so we're gonna try to get all of that yumminess and put it on our platter. So I've got my spatula right here. Love doing it on parchment paper, y'all. The fish will come right off. Here we go. And here we go. One more piece. I'm gonna spread it out on top of there. I'm gonna try to get some of this yummy sauce and I'm gonna use a spoon, from my tray. Put it on top because that's really gonna add to the flavor. Oh, the whole kitchen smells like the islands right now. So there is my fish, and just one more thing to do, and that is the garnish. I'm gonna put some green onions on top of here, and then just a couple of lime wedges so people can squeeze lime over their own fish. And it's gonna be done. Look at this. It's just yummy looking. I think we need one more lime on this fish. All right, this really transports me back to the beach in Jamaica, a beach shack, jerk fish on top of sweet potatoes and spinach, just like I've had it so many times before. I hope you enjoy making this at home and bring the flavor of the islands to your table.